Yo, your reign on top was short like leprechaun.
Whoa. Whoa. Yo.
As I crush these so-called Willies, thugs, and rappadons. It's the rap phenomenon, Don Dada.
Yo,
Fuck Papa. You got to cause me. Whoa, what we doing, man? Yo,
we didn't
First off, I want to welcome everybody to the show once again. It's your guys. It's the guy Shawn and it's the guy Dre. What's happening, Shawn?
What it do, my G? We didn't talk about that intro, man. What you doing, man?
Nah, man, I just wanted to give everybody some energy and feel for what's going on tonight, you know, because tonight we talking about Super Cruise.
Yes, sir.
And what's so crazy about that verse is he went at a couple Super Cruise, but then also when we talk about hip hop history, today is two big events in hip hop history. The first one being the birth of Ready to Die. Ready to Die came out this year. 27 years ago, I believe. No, 27 years ago. Yeah. But then also it's the God MC. It's the Godson. I ain't gonna call him the God MC.
God MC. You got it right.
The Godson's birthday is also today. So big salute to Nas. Happy birthday to the God MC. So
the GOAT.
But in that verse, you know, he got it cracking. And like I said, tonight we talking about Super Cruise. We talking about hip hop Super Cruise. In that verse, Biggie went at some Super Cruise, i.e. The Firm, which is one of Shawn's favorite, and he also went at another of Shawn's favorite. He went at the Woo. So I'm gonna pass it to the homie, and I'm gonna let the homie tell us what Super Crew we gonna go into first. You know what I'm saying?
So we definitely got to save the best for last. So you mentioned Wu. Let's kick to the ballistics, man. For real, Wu-Tang is the best. So we'll take them last. So let's go and kick off, man. Let's start with man. So many to go into, bro. Let's go Dipset, man. Let's go Dipset. Let's start in hard.
Dipset. All right. Yo, I'm gonna tell you something. Dipset had a run that was unexpected, and it also was a run that, at the moment, I wasn't too fond of.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if anyone has Rock the Bells radio, they listening to it in the car. You hear LL talk about Outkast all the time, like, yo, when that shit came out, I wasn't feeling it, but as I grew older and I started listening, I could understand more what they was talking about, and I could feel their vibe. I got that same thing going on with me when it comes to Dipset.
Yeah.
You know.
So is it because of the lyrics? Is it because of the songs? What's throwing you off by Dipset?
What was throwing me off? I think it was more so the lyrics. It was just, listen, as a Southern guy, that Harlem swag just really didn't. You know, this is at the time when everything was becoming visual. Also, well, it was already kind of visual because you did have. All your hit songs had to have a video. You had to try to get on 106 and Park at that time. So that whole visual thing just wasn't even popping, you know, wearing pink, you know what I'm saying? You know, fucking Pink Panther and all that shit. Like that shit wasn't popping on our end. So
and pink shirts and colorful joints. Yeah, I mean, but you know what? At the end of the day, Dipset, they finessed the game back then, in my opinion. Because if you think about it, Cam came out in 98, right?
Yeah. Horse and Carriage,
you know, Confessions of Fire, which to me was a really good album. His first album, really good album. Then he came out with Sport, Drugs, and Entertainment. That album was leaked pretty heavy, if I'm not mistaken. So he didn't really get a chance to really put out a really great album in SD, Sports, Drugs, and Entertainment, but it was pretty solid. And then he had that Dipset movement. That Dipset movement, man, lyrically, you're not going to get like the best lyrics. I honestly thought that Cam changed everything up because Cam started talking that computers be computing, boobity boop.
Looters be looting.
Cam, but then you start listening to it back then. You're like, what is Cam talking about? But then you start realizing that his cadence changed and he created a whole wave because during that time, I mean, Harlem dudes were like, I knew a lot of Harlem guys back then. And Harlem was like on some other stuff back then anyhow. They were all on swagger. You know, you got to think about it. P. Diddy from Harlem. So you're talking about just people being able to like really just swag out. And that's what that Dipset movement was. It was about swagger, man. It was Like Jim Jones, you would never think Jim Jones, in my opinion, you would never think that Jim Jones then, in comparison to now, probably had the best catalog out of Dipset group, in my opinion. I
No, I
think
agree.
Jim Jones had the best catalog out of all of those guys.
I agree. I didn't start appreciating Dipset until Jewel started hooking up with Wayne, and then I could listen to Jewel's on his own. And then I think me and you talked about it before. I think this last Jim Jones album with the New York City, So Gritty, like that whole album, I don't even know the name of it, sadly, but that entire album rides, and that's probably one of the best Dipset. Yeah, that's the best Dipset album there is. I don't think Come Home With Me was all that hot.
It wasn't. And Nas called it trash. Everybody got mad. Your Nas was like, yo, Hot 97. He's like, yo, Cam, yo, that shit is trash.
Hey, we starting off, and I don't think we've been live 5 minutes yet, and we got Tasia and L. They already at it. They're not going at our throat this time. They going at Dipset. They just call it Dipset trash. But
I mean, here's the thing. I won't say that they were trash.
At that time, I would definitely say they're trash.
I don't know, because let me see, when Dipset really hit the mark, I was 23. I was stationed in Camp Lejeune, and I remember, man, I had the SUV, had some 20s on it, had some bang in the trunk, and that Diplomatic Immunity came out. Man, just the beats alone was
they had some bangers when it comes to beats, but it was like they cadences or they voices didn't go with the beat so much. You know what I'm saying? I think Jules was the best one to get you a banger that was actually doing something, and he get on there and spit a rhyme or two.
You know what threw me off? Diplomatic Unity was pretty solid, in my opinion, production-wise. And again, it was just them talking that slick talk, man. But then you get to Diplomatic Immunity Part 2.
Talking about I'm about it, where they got about it.
Yes, and no, that's not even the worst one. They had Push It. Remember they remixed Push It?
Oh yeah.
They had to like push it. And Jim Jones like, you want to push it good? Like what? Yo, after that, I was like, okay, I got to step back a little. And then also during that time, and I'm guilty for this because during that time, they also went at Nas. And I was like, yo, we definitely not messing with you right now. You going at Nas? You know, so it was one of the things, man, where they had a small window that they blew up really big because the mixtape thing was going really heavy during that time, during that era. It was high level of mixtapes. And they just had a big wave, man.
Did they really though? Like, we talking about Super Crews? Are we really gonna give them a title of a Super Crew, or are we just gonna give them a crew that had a little run?
I don't call them a super crew, but I think you have to respect their. I think I respect them, man. I mean, you said in the beginning, you ran to the top with Short and Leprechauns. I mean, they had by 2 years. I ain't gonna front.
They on top though. I just don't see them.
Let me back up a little bit. I don't think they were on top, but they were in the discussion because that Dipset movement changed a lot of things. A lot of young guys back then started wearing pink. I wasn't one of them, but a lot of them started wearing pink. They started wearing those skull crossbone shirts and the tight jeans, and everything started shifting because of that wave that they had. It wasn't because of again, you're not going to get a Dipset album during that time and be like, yo, this album is lyrically inclined. Even Jules, I don't think Jewel's had I don't think he had the best lyrical content. I just think that his metaphors, every now and then he had a couple of hits there, but overall, I thought he missed the mark. Honestly, I thought Jewel's were overrated, straight up. They put out so much material though, man. I mean, they were putting out material like crazy.
I would say this, when he stepped on, and this is at a time where Wayne was considered to be the GOAT of rap at that time. Not my GOAT. I didn't like that Wayne. I like the older Wayne. But at that time, Wayne was considered to be the GOAT, and I always felt like Jewel's always stood toe-to-toe with Wayne on their mixtapes together. Yeah. And then, so switching that, we can go to Wayne, and we if you're ready to, transition or whatever, we can talk about, and so these two we got together. We got Rough Riders Cash Money because even when you looked at the Rough Riders documentary, they talked about Cash Money, and when they was on tour together, those two crews are one of the same, although one was from the north and one was from the south. I think those two crews are one of the same. The only thing Cash Money did not have that the Rough Riders had was Eve. They didn't have a female that was really blazing the track the way that she was.
Yeah, I think collectively, Cash Money at that time, I think they had more. And it's gonna sound crazy, man, because it's gonna sound crazy. So for all my Northerners out there, don't hit me.
Tell the truth, shame the devil, man. Go ahead.
Don't hit me on this one, but I think Cash Money collectively probably had the better roster. Because if you think about Rough Riders had DMX.
Are we not including the Locks in that?
I'm talking before Locks, because the Locks didn't come until in the middle of that second wave. Remember, Locks started out with Bad Boy. Of course, everybody knows that. They started with Bad Boy. But I'm talking about during that time, the Locks was one foot in with Bad Boy, 1 foot in with Rough Riders. I don't think you can solidify the Locks with Rough Riders until like that second album. That second album, We Are the Streets. And to be clear, We Are the Streets wasn't a classic album. No. It was at best 3 mics, solid album, but not something you would expect based on what they done in the first album, the hype around them, and then joining Rough Riders. But that's neither here nor there. I do think that the energy that Cash Money, and again, older Shawn now, when I I feel different now than I did back then. Back then, it was New York everything. Timberland boots, which was shorts on, everything. You know what I mean?
We believe it. So you wear Timberlands to the beach, don't you?
Maybe once or twice.
You be in Myrtle Beach walking around in Timberlands.
Once or twice, yeah. You'll catch me on the beach strolling with the Timbs on.
Yo, son, what's happening, God?
With the beef for broccolis on, strolling a little bit. But I think you think about Juvenile, Lil Wayne, BG, and Turk, right? And then you got the big timers, who I thought was garbage, and I still think they trash to this day. But still, they had all the catchy songs. DMX was Rough Riders. You know what I mean? DMX was all Rough Riders. And I think that his catalog, in my opinion, dwarfs everything that Cash Money had by itself and as a collective. But I do think that as we think about DMX, who's next? Outside of the Locks, who else do you have?
Drag On. They did take a Southerner, and I thought he was dope. I don't know what happened as far as paperwork or promotion to actually get him out there.
Yeah.
But Fiend, to me, Fiend is dope. But I'm also a huge Southern fan, and I love those guys when it comes to wax. We was just talking earlier, man. Those albums put me in a place like where it can't be explained. Like we already told the people we supposed to be doing guerrilla warfare for the retro review tomorrow. Yeah. I can't even listen to the shit without going back to that time. And I'm gonna say the rest for tomorrow, but that's just how I feel when it comes to Cash Money and Rough Riders. When it comes to those albums, man, I just go back to that time where I was hanging out, high school, doing the shit I probably shouldn't have been doing, standing on the corner, whatever the case may be. So, and then when you talk about lyricists, BG he's not necessarily a lyricist, but he's a person that can go.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like BG is gonna get out there and he's really gonna go. He's not gonna hit you with the most extreme metaphors or whatever the case may be, but he's gonna actually get in there and go. And then Juvenile was just a guy. If you listen to him, Juvenile was a guy, even though he was with this crew that talked about this and he talked about that, he actually brought something different to the table, which is why I believe they were able to secure that deal with Universal, which was huge at the moment. So, so I got a question though. So out of L, I'm gonna say I can agree with you. My bad. I'm pivoting because she just took me off.
Yeah.
I would say that Cash Money probably had the better catalog, but No Limit had the energy and the family dynamic that everybody loved at that time. So I don't know who was better, to tell you the truth, but if I'm just riding and listening, I'm gonna go with Cash Money over No Limit.
You know what, man? I wasn't a fan of, again, Young Sean back then. I was not a fan of neither one of them. I didn't appreciate their music until probably until I was like around a bunch of guys from New Orleans. When I was stationed in Japan, one of the guys who was one of my he was in a room across from mine, and he was from New Orleans, and he's like, "Hey, Wardy, come and get." He's always doing this like, "Hey, Wardy, come and," this shit, and like, in a club, and you hear Cash Money No Limit in a club, it was crazy, man. Like, and again, I'm like 19, 20 years old, being introduced to this new type of music, man, that I was closing off all my life. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciated it differently when I started being around guys who actually knew that and lived that. You know what I'm saying?
Is this when you was a honorary member of Rough Riders? We won't go into the specifics.
The picture out, man. Picture out, man. Never that picture out, man. But nah, it was tough because back then Rough Rider was like, DMX had so much energy. You know what I mean? Like, DMX came out my senior year in high school. So, going into boot camp. You know what I mean? Like, it was like that energy, man, was crazy. And I got some family in Yonkers. I remember they was talking about DMX way back when. And
were they talking about him rapping or robbing? Which one?
Rapping, robbing, crack, whatever you want to call it. It was all of the above. It was all of the above. Yeah, but
so when you listen at that time, well, we're gonna go at that time with Rough Riders. But I still want to include the Locks. I know what you're saying when we talk about that time period with Cash Money and the Locks wasn't included, but I still want to include the Locks because I do think they're very pivotal to everything that Rough Riders had going on.
Yeah.
Who's the best? I want the best rapper and the best lyricist coming from the Rough Riders camp.
Man. X.
For both?
Both.
Oh, wow.
Both. I mean,
wow.
And the reason why I say that, man, because I heard Irv Gotti in a interview earlier today, just in passing, and Irv made a point, man. He was like, people forget how X was able to like really bring words to life. Like when he was rapping, if you go back, and I had to go back and listen to Flesh in My Flesh, and when he was saying some shit, man, I was like, damn, like I can feel it. You know what I mean? Like X, the reason why I said X lyrically, from a lyricist and a rapper, his delivery was so raw, you know what I mean? Where he was able to transition into making movies just being X. Because the way he, you know what I mean? The way he talked, it was like, this is how he act. Conventional thinking would say Kiss. I think that goes without saying. Kiss is a lyricist. Styles P to me is probably the better lyricist. Kiss might be the better rapper, but I think you're talking about the combination, putting them together.
No, but I was asking for one of one. Like, who's the best rapper / now, who's the best lyricist?
X is the best rapper, man.
I'm going to go, I really want to go Eve as the best rapper, but I can't. And the only reason I can't go as her the best rapper is because she couldn't catch up with Swizzy. Well, not catch up. She couldn't bring herself down to Swizzy's production. So that's why I can't go with her. So I'm going to go with X as the best rapper. And lyricist, it's a toss-up. I think it's one of them things where it's going to depend on what I'm doing that day or how I'm feeling that day. I'm going to go with either Styles or I'm going to go with Jada. And sometimes I feel like I want to go with Sheep. So, hey, Rough Riders is a tough crew, man.
Rough Riders is a tough crew. Rough Riders
is Wayne the reason for Cash Money getting the shine that they got?
No.
In your opinion?
No. Not back then. Not that Wayne. Not Wobbity Wayne. Wobbity Wayne was whack.
Nah, man. Bling Bling. Come on, man. Don't do that.
Wobbity Wayne was whack.
Don't do that. Don't do that, nigga. You talking about my time. That was my shit.
Yo, Christian,
hey, you remember how that buddy say everybody got their year?
Hold up. Christian said that X is a better actor than rapper. Yo, somebody get Christian out of
Hey
here.
man, I done told y'all leave nephew alone, man.
Yo, what is
Nephew just
Christian, man?
nephew just turned 20. He don't know no better, man.
He wasn't even born when that came
Right.
out, man. Come on.
He don't know no better, man.
No, man. Wobbity Wayne was whack. I think Juvenile was the reason why they got that deal, man. Because Juvenile, and I thought Han was the worst song ever made back then. I'm not going to front, like real. I'm gonna keep it a band. Like, I kid you not. I remember the first time I heard Han, I was like, "Yo, who is this clown?" I was laughing. And
hey, I bet you 2 days later you was sitting there.
Yo, it never caught me.
You was a paper chaser, got your block on fire, remain in the G.
And the video was even worse. Like,
that video was gutter, man.
That video was horrible. And I was like, yo, who is this guy? And I remember this dude from the Bronx told me, he was like, yo, fam, you can't be shitting on everybody. Like, he was from the Bronx. Because we was at the mess hall in Camp Lejeune. I was at the table talking crazy. And I was like, New York run everything in hip hop. And
hey man, I'm finna kick L out of here.
What she said? Yo, that shit was horrible, man. Like, Han was horrible. And then Jay-Z.
No, the remix was horrible. That's what was horrible.
Jay had the audacity to make a remix.
It
was even worse. Horrible. It was even worse. So
no. The song is not horrible, huh? With just Juvie, that shit slaps. That shit rides, man.
I still don't listen to it, man.
Yeah, because you know, like someone said earlier, I think I put it up there. You fucking you're northern tainted, is what they said.
No, I appreciate all music. Like when Bet That Ass come on, everybody have to pause for a second. Like you walk and you pause and like, where's the nearest dance floor? Like, and I need to dance. So it's just that thing. Like when I lived in Louisiana for a couple years, you know that, and I'm telling you, man, bounce music down there is like, it's infectious, man. Like they got this artist named Big Frida. You heard of Big Frida, right? No, listen, yeah. I'm not giving Big Frida no props. Listen, I'm not. Yo, Big Frida
gets all the props. Yeah,
a legend down there.
Facts.
Like, Big Frida is a freaking legend down there, and you can, if you listen to all like DC has house music, and New Orleans has bounce music. So back then, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand bounce music, and everything Cash Money was doing back then, that shit was bounce music. But if you go back and listen to like the not the mainstream New Orleans rappers and mainstream New Orleans DJs, and you hear that shit is infectious down there, man.
Yeah,
like it's crazy down there.
I was gonna say the same thing. The difference, I think that's the difference between No Limit and Cash Money. No Limit, they just, you know, KLC and Beats by the Pound with a kind of, you know, not mainstream, but I'm trying to create my own lane type production. Whereas Manny was straight up bounce. Like everything you can hear, you know, even with the Trigger Man, the 808 or whatever, you can hear the bounce and you can hear the New Orleans in that shit. And everything that he did, you could still get your, you know, even though it started in Memphis, it was real big in New Orleans. You can still get your gangster walk on or whatever the case may be. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm with that.
Because that bounce music, man, like I said, when I was down there, man, it was like, it was infectious, man. I'm not going to front. Like, I was, you know, older at that time, so I could appreciate it a little bit more because you're right there in like the center of it. You know what I mean? So it's not foreign to you no more. You can kind of see how people responding to it. You can see how people like loving it, and that shit like bounce me, they're bouncing. Like, it was like, okay, this shit kind of got some hit to it. So I mean, again, back in, you know, early 20s, 21, 22, Shawn would not give it any play. But looking at it now, I may listen to it once or twice.
So which of the two crews, and this is my last question, we'll move on, which of the two crews has the most influence on their region? Was it Rough Rider up top, or was it Cash Money down below?
Damn, Dre, that's a damn good question, man. I got to say Rough Riders, man. I got to say Rough Riders. I think the movement of Rough Riders turned into something totally different, because now you're talking about bikes, you know, riding motorcycles, trikes, whatever. That Rough Riders movement was crazy, man. Cash Money, I think what happened to Cash Money is that as Wayne grew, he also grew away from Cash Money. And Juvie kind of stayed still, you know what I mean? Because Juvenile never reached like that big height. He got there really quick, and then all of a sudden he just plateaued. Whereas Lil Wayne kept going, and Lil Wayne got bigger, but Lil Wayne got bigger outside of Cash Money. And his sound wasn't a true New Orleans sound.
Because the sound wasn't his.
It wasn't his, right.
Let's keep it funky. We know who, and I hate to give anybody props from that city, but that's Gilly's fucking thing.
Yeah.
So that's Gilly's thing.
What Tay just said Juvie was fine?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, you see I glanced right over there. I'm not we're not talking about what nobody looked like unless we're talking about Eve.
Right. But yeah, I think that Cash Money biggest issue to me was the fact that Lil Wayne did adopt a different style that was not synonymous with New Orleans anymore. So culturally, I think it shifted. Whereas Rough Riders continued going strong. Like DMX had a good 4 or 5 year run. And then you had the Locks, who was always there. You had Eve, who had a pretty strong run. So I do think that the Rough Riders brand was stronger up north than Cash Money brand in Louisiana down south.
So I'm gonna go to this next group. I feel like I probably should have went with them out the gate. Hold on.
Randy said Cash Money ran it. Rough Riders had the run, but Cash Money made New York dudes saying bling bling. Randy, I never in my life said bling bling. I would never ever say bling. I'm saying bling bling right now, but I don't.
I mean, you're the exception because you have to try to be so New York. Like, I really think Shawn fucking sleeps in Tim's and be talking about yo God.
Peace, King.
Yeah, he calls his wife Wiz. Like, who the fuck is still using Wiz in 2020? That's so 1993.
Yo, peace, King.
So. But this next group, I feel like, because one, I don't feel like they're a super group. I think they're in the same lane as fucking Dipset. So I feel like I probably should have went with them then. So we're gonna talk about G-Unit. Before we talk about G-Unit, is G-Unit a super group?
Yes. I think that's a tough one because I think that 50 Cent's steam created so much of G-Unit's power. And because of that, everyone was able to benefit off of that 50 Cent album. You know what I mean? Off of G-Unit, that first Get Rich or Die Trying album. You got to think about it. You had Lloyd Banks, who went platinum, right? The album wasn't that great, in my opinion. It was solid, but he went platinum. Young Buck went platinum. The album was pretty good, but he went platinum. Tony Yayo went gold, and that album to me was very average. You know what I'm saying?
That was like Mims. This is why I'm hot.
Thoughts of a Predicate Felon. That album was like a gold album. So, but Game, in my opinion, had the best album out of all of them. Game's first album rivals Get Rich or Die Trying in a different way. Get Rich or Die Trying was really gritty, and I told you before, Get Rich or Die Trying back then, to me, I felt like it was even outdated because on the back half of that album had like 21 songs, 22 songs, and on the back half of that album, you had a lot of songs that 50 recorded years ago. You know what I mean? That they just dumped on that album. They just dumped on the back half of that album. So you go and listen to Game's album, the documentary, and that album sounds fresh. It sounds crisp. Production was on point, and I thought that was a better G-Unit output during that time. I think you said to make Olivia something. Olivia was trash.
Facts.
Yo, Tank, you remember when Murray played Best Friend and he played in that battle and he played Olivia part?
And he was singing it. Let's not forget that part. He was singing it.
He was like bobbing to the side like he was singing.
I'm gonna keep this one short and simple. I don't think G Unit is a super crew. I don't think they have anything outside of of the game. I'm not a 50 Cent fan at all. That's why I always tell y'all T.I. will whitewash 50 in the verses. Buck had a pretty decent album, in my opinion. It was riding. You had songs like Stomp, where you had T.I. and Luda going at each other. Like, that was a classic song, especially in the South. But other than that, I'm not really messing with G Unit. Get Rich or Die Trying, like you said, the first half of it makes it a hood classic because you got stuff like Mini Man. You know, that the intro alone with the fucking with the quarter hitting the ground, hitting the desk or whatever, you know, like shit like that made that shit tough. But I'm not a G Unit fan at all. So
I mean, G Unit to me, like I said, man, I think they were strong. Yo, L, we're going to get back to Bad Boy. So hold that thought. We just started. We just warming up right now. This is the warm up. G Unit is, to me, you cannot disrespect the fact that they had a strong run, and that was just off the back of 50 Cent. I mean,
but see here,
and again, as I told you before, when we had conversations around that before, I told you that I felt that Get Rich or Die Trying to me is not a classic, but you cannot disregard the energy that album had around it during that time. And the reason why I always felt that the documentary was a much better album was because the documentary, to me, musically, was a much better album. Get Rich or Die Trying, to me, was a chopped up album, but it had so many bangers, and it came during the time where, if you really think about it, during that time, people was kind of getting to the point they were upset with Ja Rule, right? We was kind of like, okay, we tired of hearing Ja Rule sing. And 50 Cent came out singing. You know what I mean? But everybody gave him a pass for that, which I never understood. They gave him a pass for that, but they ridiculed Ja Rule.
So here's my problem with G Unit. G Unit is what Southerners have been saying for the entire time. G Unit is a product of being in New York. Because G Unit is from New York, lived in New York, grew up in New York, they had the fandom of New York City because it's gonna come in droves and it's gonna be huge numbers because listen, if you from Jamaica, Queens, everybody in a fucking 1 block radius, where in the South, that's what, 100 people in New York. That's 10,000 people. So everybody know you and everybody's gonna support you, and that's the product of G Unit. That's why they was able to get that love. In my opinion, it was because
I agree.
Them being New Yorkers.
No, I agree. But Dre, don't forget the mixtape game. Don't forget how strong, like the mixtape game during that time was ridiculous. And
but was his mixtapes really like?
Dude,
when you say mixtapes, like I'm thinking of a guy like I'm thinking Joe Buttons. I'm thinking mood music series, shit like that.
But I'm saying 50, that's what they got noticed. That's what they had noticed for. Like they got noticed for having such a strong run in the mixtape circuit. Because that's the only reason Dipset was able to get off, because they had such a strong run on the mixtape circuit. You know, back then, mixtapes was like, if you can get your hand on a Gangsta Grills mixtape, or DJ Mike, you know what I mean? Anybody, Clue, all those guys. If you could get, I'm sorry, Big Mike. If you could get those type of mixtapes in your hand back then, yo, you had something. You had something special. You know what I mean? So I think they rode that wave. They rode the wave of being able to capitalize on a mixtape circuit. So if they're a super group, nah. But were they relevant during that time? Did they have a strong run? Absolutely, they had a strong run. But it was off the back of 50 Cent.
All right, so we're going to keep it up top again. I know this is killing me and everybody else that's watching that we staying up top, except for this one. This one is something that's close and near dear to me. We're going to talk about Def Squad, the Hit Squad. You know, we're talking Eric Sermon. We're talking Keith Murray. We're talking Jamal. Of course, we're talking the great and awesome Redman, you know?
Yeah.
So this is something different than the previous groups. They didn't maintain the commercial success. But if you talk to a hip hop head, you talk in the hip hop circles, hey, listen, the Hit Squad, K-Solo and those guys, this is something to be reckoned with.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I told you earlier today, man, that El Nino album.
Facts.
Yo, that album was ridiculous. I wish they would have dropped more albums during that time. Because remember, the only reason they came about was because EPMD broke up.
The split, yeah.
They split, you know what I mean? And everybody kind of did their thing and kind of went their separate ways. But you had some heavy hitters because, you're talking about Keith Murray, who the lyrical lexicon, and
the most beautiful thing in this world.
he used to terrorize Prodigy, man. God bless the dead, but he used to terrorize Prodigy, man. Golly. But man, they had such a great collective, man. And Redman, he always, this is how great Redman was, and nobody really pay attention to this. Redman was able to balance out Eric Sermon and Keith Murray.
Yeah.
He was able to balance that because Red normally go in, but he was able to mellow things out and keep a good balance between that group. Because on paper, if you listen to their music by itself, they shouldn't mesh. They don't mesh at all.
And that's the thing. Red should not be, when you think about it, Red nor Jamal, they shouldn't be with
right
Eric and Keith Murray. You know what I mean? But when they get on an album together, like the first one comes to mind is the Headbangers. Yeah. Like the way EPMD was able to navigate the Headbangers, yeah. But then you still had K-Solo and Redman do the most gritty shit ever. Yeah. Yeah. It just meshed perfectly. Or you go to Redman's shit. I'm drawing a fucking blank on Redman. That's surprising.
Ow.
His Muddy Waters album. The last joint on Muddy's Water album where they got all them together and he just come in and he rip it, but then you got Keith Murray just do his, his slow and his melodic, and right. I'm gonna spit some real physiological type shit. And
yeah,
that's what I said. But you said waffles. That's what it is. Like they always found a way to mesh. I think that's due to Eric Sermon though. Yeah. Because that was the reason why Eric Sermon was able to survive without EPMD, whereas Parrish had some troubles.
I think Parrish had troubles because Parrish didn't have the production that Eric was able to pull off and keep it going. Anytime you're a dual threat where you can produce and rap, that goes further than you just being the other half of a rapper. You know what I mean? I do think that one of the things that I've always felt that could have been done differently, especially with that group, is if they would have come back together collectively. Like even when Eric and Parrish kind of made up and kind of got things together, I wonder if they should have combined at that one point just to kind of see how that would have worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think, DMX kind of went, remember DMX went at K-Solo. So I think that kind of.
Listen, I think so. I think K-Solo could have went in there and ripped him.
He could have. He didn't want that though, man.
Yeah, you are absolutely right, Sport. When they did they did Death Squad versus Flipmode Squad on When Disaster Strikes. Yeah. Redman and crew got busy. And even though Busta went last, Busta had some energy, but you got fucking The Last Rampage spitting rhymes. It's just not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
Rampage, the Last Boy Scout. That's what they call it.
Who the fuck I be? You cannot. Yeah, nah, we don't want to hear that shit, yo. Like we cool on that. Yeah, but so now we finna move, man, and this might take some time because this is very near and dear to my heart. So we gonna go to what I call the greatest supergroup of all time. No, you know what? I'm gonna say that we're gonna move to the Rock.
Okay.
We'll move to the Rock.
Who wanna hop on? I mean, everybody that a comment. Somebody wanna hop on?
I thought L was supposed to hop on. I don't know what happened to him. But so let's talk about the Rock. Hey, if you want to hop on, put that shit in the comments right now, and I'll get you straight. But let's talk about the Rock, and let's go from the bottom up.
Okay. The bottom up.
Yeah, let's go from the bottom up.
Start with Beanie. kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's the Jack of Philly, man. My bad. My bad. No, we start with the mill.
Shit. Do we even include her in this shit?
No, not at all. She had one album though, and she
But
had a good song for the fam. Remember?
But didn't Jay tell us if you want to get with me, you gotta drop a mill? Like
a mill.
So, hey,
for the fam was hot though. Like
it was.
Yeah.
That's why Mark played it like 5 times in the fucking battle.
In the battle, like, dude,
yeah.
you gonna play it again? he just played different verses at different times. Can we do let's go Bleak, man. Let's go to man's Bleak.
So
I hate the weakest.
I hate it. Because
Bleak is the weakest.
When Bleak came out, I just felt like Bleak was like the skits was really true. Like Bleak was really next in my opinion. And it just never materialized. And it really ticked me off. It really pissed me off.
Yeah, so you know, Stax is a huge rock fan, so I'm going to purposely shit on them just because Stax is in the comments right now. You forgot about that, right? You forgot Stax is a huge.
I know he is, but damn, I didn't know we was just gonna shit on.
My bad.
Fuck. I don't even want to shit on. I don't even want to shit on Bleak right now.
You got to though.
How about this? I'll shit on Chris and Neef.
Okay, I bet I'm done with you. I'm gonna come back with you on that one. So let's start with Bleak. The first time I heard Bleak, he was like he was on
Coming of Age.
Reasonable Doubt.
Coming of Age, yeah.
Coming of Age. And he was like in the middle of the war, rocking the vest, who the illest shorty alive, I confess. I thought this little guy, I said, yo, he's gonna be a problem. And it never materialized. Because even if you go back to his first album, for some reason, every single album that Bleak dropped, the first song was the best song on the album. Like, for some reason, go back and listen to it, man. The first song was always like, it catches you like, damn, this album will be tight. Next thing you know, number 2, number 3, number 4, he needed Jay a lot to really push his albums, man. Because even if Is That Your Bitch, that was really a Jay-Z song.
Yeah, that was a Jay song.
They just, Randy said Petey Crack. You're right, Petey Crack. Yo, Randy, we're going to get into all of that Philly movement. So give us a second.
Hey, before we go on, can we talk about Philly losing to the No Names? Oh, never mind. My bad. All right, we'll keep on going. All right, Petey Crack. No, not Petey Crack. We still talking Bleak. My bad.
Yeah. So Bleak was next up, but I think when Beans came on the scene, I think Beans leapfrog Bleak, and Jay kind of was like, all right, I've got another lyrical assassin here. So that's why Jay started making those songs like, even if Bleak doesn't make another album, he's still good. He's still in my will. So Jay was kind of set the tone. Then, like, yo, you may want to fall back. You may not want to make no more records. So I got you. So, Jay do the assist at Bleak a lot. Even Dear Summer was on Meet Mill album. So, that was Jay, man. So Bleak could have been better, man.
Yeah,
it's pretty good lyrically, but he just
couldn't formulate a song.
Yeah,
and I think that's a problem with a lot of rappers that just wasn't for him. Bleak had the voice. He had, in my opinion, he had the cadence.
Yeah, but
it just didn't go along with what. And I'm gonna say something else. Jay, this is one time I always be like, nah, Jay not a dirtbag, because you always call him a dirtbag. I'm gonna say this. This is a time when I feel like Jay is a dirtbag. The production that the rest of Rockefeller received does not equal the production that Jay received.
Absolutely.
And that's a problem. I get it. Motherfuckers gonna work a little bit harder and be a little bit more on point when they're messing with you because you are Jay. But yo, if you really want to throw an assist, throw that goddamn, the real shit, the shit that really made motherfuckers love Hov, the slow melodic type shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I think Bleak, even though Bleak had a lot of energy, I think Bleak would really get busy on something like that.
Absolutely. But see, Jay was, again, when Jay in that studio, man, and you got the stems, and he hear that beat, yo, that goes to me, fella. You know what I mean? Hey, Guru. Yeah. That beat goes to me. Hey, Blaze, that beat goes to me. You know what I mean? You take your Bleak, you take this one. And speaking of taking shit, let's be real. He took a lot of stuff from the Young Guns. You know what I mean? The Young Gunners, Chris and Little Neefy, he took it from them too.
Because if they come out with saying shit like that, don't they deserve to have their shit taken?
Absolutely, you take that. I mean, you gotta take. Do you not? Like, did you not perfect it, right? I mean, when
yeah, like you did. You know, it's kind of like Nas. You know, you made it a hot line. I made it a hot song. Like, my bad, man. Like that's shot number 2. I apologize. I apologize. We are live. Nah, don't worry about it.
Yo, when they say it's time to set it off, it's time to set it off. Like, yo, when Chris Neefy came out, Chris Neefy, Petey Crack, I think you got to put all of them in the same.
Oh, you talking about, ooh, clap for me, mommy.
Clap for me, mommy. Clap for me, mommy. So I do think you got to put Chris and Neefy and Petey Crack, or Emilio and Sparks. I think I put all those guys in there in that bottom tier of the rock. They also had that group Christian. I thought it was a dope group. They could have had better songs. They should have had better writers, and they should have had better production. But I think that they fell flat, man. They could have been better.
But
what's that?
They fell flat. But you had some people who got busy. Let's not act like Jay was the only one getting busy on the rock. You did have those Philly guys. You had Freeway.
Yeah, Freeway.
You've already mentioned Beans.
Yeah.
Let's not act like Kanye is not a musical genius of our time.
Yo, Ye is crazy, but I'm gonna tell you like this: Ye blew breath in Jay-Z's catalog in that second wave. Because when Jay kind of got to that Dynasty album, he started fading, in my opinion. And that's when he dropped Blueprint. And remember I told you before, Blueprint was technically like a Kanye album. Because all of those beats on Blueprint should have been on Kanye's album. You know what I'm saying? Because if you go back and listen to Blueprint, that album was heavily produced by Ye. That was Ye's best production to date. And I still feel that Blueprint is one of Jay-Z's, if not the best album he put together. But I think it is the better. To me, I think it's better than Reasonable Doubt. I think that Jay-Z that was his best album, Blueprint. But that was all Kanye. All Kanye. So Ye, to me, is on that same echelon, that same tier as Jay-Z, catalog for catalog, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I just have a problem when I'm not gonna put Ye in my top 5. Obviously, Jay is a top 5 rapper. Ye is not, but Ye is a musical top 5. You know what I mean? Like we talked last week when we was talking about Lauryn Hill being an artist. That's the same to be said with Ye.
Yeah.
The fact that hey, listen, Ye is so disrespectful. He have top tier lyricists coming in there giving him a 16. He chops it up to 8 and make it go. You know what I'm saying? He makes it magic. So that just speaks to his testament of him being a freaking musical genius.
And Randy, you are correct. Full of Smoke by Christian, that shit went crazy back, like 98, 99 when that joint came out. No, I'm sorry, like 97. Full of Smoke. That was my shit.
We getting there, Randy. We getting there.
We getting there, Randy. But yeah, man, I think the rock, that top echelon, Freeway, Beans, Jay go without saying, and Kanye go without saying. Apart from that, man, I mean, I wouldn't put Cam in that, even though you can't tell Cam that. You know what I'm saying? Let Cam tell that. Cam said when he got there, the rock started popping. When he got there. So I think
that's like including Twister. I know we got some Chicago folks in the house. That's like us including Twister into that. You know what I'm saying?
But Cam did, Cam was, affiliated with rock just because of the Damn Dash affiliation. But again, he did drop Come Home With Me, and he did drop I think he got like 3 albums under the rock moniker before him and Jay and all those guys got into it. But Cam, I mean, you got to put Cam in that middle tier. I won't put him in that top tier. I definitely put him above that that Bleak tier. I think put him up there.
Old Boy made Cam something else, and that really was it.
That was it.
Even though, like, I don't understand how this song got so much play at the time. That Hey Ma shit, that shit is, as you would say, Trinidad shit. Like, like that shit is so fucking horrible, yo.
Fam, I hated Hey Ma. I hated that song. Like, and again, during that time, it was war because it was like, I'm not listening to anything Cam put out right now. You know what I mean? Like,
you was in your Nas feelings?
Yeah. I mean, Queens get the money. So it was like, I definitely didn't play that Hey Ma shit no mind. I am glad that Nori never signed with Rockefeller, although it was close. I am glad that he never signed with Rockefeller.
Even though they had some gritty rappers, I think Nori is too gritty. I don't think Nori doesn't fit in with that.
He doesn't
with that camp.
And
it would have just been for Dame.
And I want to pivot, but I want to segue real quick. All right, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So when you're talking about crews, you can't forget the Bad Boy crew. You can't forget Big. They had the Locks at that time before they switch over to the Rough Riders. They had Black Rob, who in my opinion is very underrated. They had, that Bad Boys roster wasn't no joke, man, at that time, because you got Big, who is arguably, the GOAT. In most people, I guess, in that most circles. But when you're talking about that Bad Boy roster, Puffy had a crew, man. He just messed it up. But he had a crew. So I don't want to acknowledge that, before we move on.
I'm gonna get. Listen, talk what you want to talk, say what you want to say. Murder Mace really was. He was spitting, and it was evident on a song like 24 Hours to Live. Like, you put him next to three lyricists, and Mace got busy.
Yes, and you got Sean, you got Mace, Black Rob, you had Loon. You had the Locks, you had Biggie. That Bad Boys roster was bananas. I ain't gonna front. That Mace first album,
it's tough.
Man,
it's tough. With 8-Ball MJG, it's tough.
That first album was crazy.
When you take out the shiny suit portions, it's tough.
Yes. And he was going in on those albums. And that roster, the Bad Boy roster within itself, to me, was great. You had Faith, and Faith was a writer. She was writing for a lot of the females on the roster. You had Total. You had so much, man. Puffy had like the dream team. Kim really wasn't Bad Boy. She was more affiliated than really on that Bad Boy roster. Remember, Kim fell under that Undies
on Rivera.
Rivera. So she was under that flag more so than she was under the Bad Boy flag. She was just
your man stabbed on and made you take the blame.
Yeah. Stacks, remember Nas told Jay he's stabbing people out here over chicks, man, because he's a sucker. But anyhow.
Whoa.
All right, my bad. We don't know these guys, man. Fuck them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Not that. I'm talking about going at Stacks. Stacks is my guy.
Man, fuck Stacks.
I really don't like Stacks. Yeah,
me neither. That nigga weaseled his way into the guys, but neither here nor there. When Mace, Randy, you're right. When Mace went over to Jermaine Dupri, when Mace went and signed with Dre Boy to Jermaine Dupri, and he had that joint venture, that's when Mace got really bad. That's when he got corny.
No, I think he's talking about the joint with Jermaine Dupri album. I think it's called 1492 or some shit like that. Yeah. It's a joint. Fucking with my dough is like fucking with my pride.
Oh, yeah.
And Lil' Kim got busy, but Mace got busy too.
Yeah,
that's when they had that.
That's when he signed that deal with So Def. I think he had put Harlem World out there.
Yeah, it was Harlem World. That was the mistake.
Yeah, that was horrible. But anyhow,
but yeah, so we talking about JD. JD is from what city?
Yeah.
That was a question, dumbass.
He's actually from
all right,
North Carolina.
So we gotta do all that.
He's from Asheville.
Right.
He's from Asheville.
All right, so we're gonna go with the common theme. JD is from Atlanta, so we finna go down south. We finna go down to Atlanta, and we finna talk about my absolute favorite super crew of all time. And I know my partner online, Sporty, is really going to appreciate. We're going to talk about the Dungeon family. That's Randy.
Who is Sporty?
Randy.
Oh, it's not a Sporty.
So, hey, listen, man, the Dungeon family is just, that's the greatest to me for many reasons.
Greatest
when
for
you
what?
talk about
hold on. Greatest for what?
Super Cruise.
What do you mean? Like in the South?
No, period. Like, yeah, over Wu-Tang. I love Wu-Tang, but I'm going to listen to the Dungeon family before I listen to Wu-Tang. Now, with that being said, I hate that I'm saying this right now. I'm not going to say I'm going to listen to the Dungeon family album because that just wasn't it. I don't know what was going on at that point, but that just wasn't it. But when you talk about Outkast, when you talk about Goody Mob, when you talk about Cool Cutter Calhoun, you talk about Slim Calhoun, you talk about Cool Breeze, and then you talk about the things that came from the Dungeon family. Like you got the Added Crew, you got J. Bo, Sean Paul, you just got so much. You got
Sleepy Brown.
Yeah, Sleepy Brown came out. He did his own thing, even though he was original member of Organized Noise. So when we talk about greatness, man, and you talk about an album like fucking ATLiens, or you talk about an album like Soul Food, like that's what's gonna do it for me.
Yo, Manny said who?
Yeah. Oh yeah, my bad. I forgot all about Witch Doctor.
Witch Doctor.
Hey. But this is the same guy that was riding around bumping fucking Diplomatic Immunity. You laughing? Like, come on, man, get the fuck out of here. You're not finna disrespect Dungeon family like this.
So are you finished the Dungeon family?
Nah, I can go on. I can go on. Like we can keep going because we could talk. Fuck you. We could talk about we could talk about fucking Watch for the Hook, one of the greatest singles to ever be dropped. We could talk about One Music Fest 2016, where the Dungeon family just showed up and they turned that motherfucker out. You could talk about all the things that come from Dungeon family because you also have the likes of Killer Mike that come from the Dungeon family. The likes of T.I. come from the Dungeon family. Yeah. What a lot of people don't know is Rico Wade is Future's uncle. Yeah. Future, yeah. That's Dungeon family. Like, listen, man. Hey, man. See, that's what we doing. All right.
My bad.
Nah, all right, Uchi Wally. That's the super crew. That's the super crew we're gonna talk about next. We're gonna talk about Uchi Wally.
You finished?
Nah, I'm just asking, are we gonna talk about Uchi Wally, motherfucker?
Mask off, man. Mask off. Let's go.
Hey, mask off is that shit though.
It is.
Play it in the club.
Yeah.
But so yeah, man, when you talk about Dungeon and you talk about something that encompasses the South, Dungeon family just is it. And so this is when you start talking about greatness, it's always gonna go along the lines of your regional bias because that's what you came up listening to. That's what came up slapping around you or whatever. So Dungeon family, that's what it is.
So I have to disagree with you, man. Wu-Tang is mine.
I know you said that from the jump. I didn't say nothing about it.
Wu-Tang is to me the best ever. It's not even close. I don't see no group that's even close to Wu-Tang at all. And here's why. You start with Wu-Tang itself. And again, I told you before, Wu-Tang is my first love. My first love of any hip-hop. Wu-Tang, to me, embodies something that you will probably never see again. And it shouldn't, the way it even happened, you have to look back and like, how did that shit happen? You had 9 members who lyrically can get off on any solo joint. You had, I mean, dude, you can go on and on for Wu-Tang. I don't think it's close. I get what you're saying about Dungeon family. I get it. Dungeon family.
No, but see, here's the thing. I wasn't asking for an opinion. I'm telling you that I feel like they're the greatest. But yeah, you gotta understand, at that time, I'm on. Nah, fuck you. I'm on dirt. I'm on dirt roads. So when you hear a song, where they're actually talking about that Georgia red clay, you get it. You understand it. It's gonna hit home to me a whole lot better than, hey, yo, God, let's look at the suns and the moons and the planets, God.
I get that, but that's what you ain't doing the science. That's why, God. I mean,
you see what I'm saying? Nobody want to hear that shit.
You're not doing the science. So check this out. You cannot tell me that Dungeon Family had the run that Wu-Tang had. It's not even close. You're talking about you starting with Wu-Tang
I can
into
say
the
they
36 chambers.
I can
All
say
right?
they can.
Let's start there.
I can
Let's
say
start
they did. I can say they did. It is.
Classic. Then you
It is.
had Method Man. Tikal came out. Bring the
Trash.
Pain. You talking about
Tikal is trash.
I-
Tikal is trash.
Can I finish? You talking
No.
about Bring the Pain, Method Man. Then he messed around and got a Grammy with the joint with him and Mary that people still play at the wedding. That was my first song at the wedding. So then you turn around and you
Don't tell
drop
nobody
Old
that.
Dirty, Return to the 36 Chambers. Then you turn around and you
That was
drop the
trash.
Purple Tape with Ghost.
Classic. Classic.
And then
A
you
top
turn
5
around
album.
and you drop Iron Man.
Yeah, Iron Man.
Classic.
Yes, classic.
Classic. Then
Yes, you gave me 3 classics.
Liquid Swords.
I'm not gonna say classic. I'm
Liquid
gonna say
Swords.
dope. I'm gonna say dope. I'm not gonna say classic.
Liquid Swords. Classic.
I'm gonna say dope.
Come on, Dre.
I'm gonna say dope. But you see, here's the problem. You did all of this in defense of Wu-Tang. I'm a Wu guy.
No, it's not defense.
No, it was defense because I said that I feel like Dungeon is the greatest supergroup. You went through this whole spiel because of you want to persuade everyone to agree that Wu-Tang is the greatest.
I don't think it needs to be persuaded. I think that when you say the Dungeon Family was the best supergroup, I kind of ignored that because I felt I know you're playing around, so I'm not trying to persuade anyone because you haven't substantiated your claim. What I'm telling you right now are quantifiable facts.
I did. No, you're not.
Facts tells me that
they had 3 classics. They had 3 classics. Wu-Tang, and I'm gonna say 4 because Wu-Tang Forever is not a classic. Wu-Tang Forever is probably
Wu-Tang Forever is a classic.
It's the best double disc to ever come out of hip hop, but it still probably should not have been a double disc.
It's a classic.
But I love Wu-Tang Forever. There were so many reasons that Wu-Tang Forever was dope, aside from just the music. You look into what they did as far as this was the first in-hand CD. You put the CD in the computer and you got so many different things. Yeah. That was also dope. I'm a big RZA fan, but when it comes to RZA actually getting on the mic, it doesn't ever come through. As a result, you get shit like Bobby Digital. But I think Ghost and Ray, I always tell people, I don't feel like Ghost and Ray are individual rappers. I feel like they're a group within a group. Ghost and Ray is a duo. Ghost and Ray is a duo. In my mind, it's a duo. Like, listen, the Purple Tape is fucking bananas. Everybody knows I love the Purple Tape. I think it's one of the greatest ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's not just the Chef's album. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I feel like that's him and Ghostface.
Not at all. And don't forget the Pillage. Don't forget Capadonna the Pillage.
Oh, facts.
And
facts.
I mean,
Milk This Cow. Yeah, all that. Yeah.
Even Supreme Clientele.
Yeah.
Supreme Clientele was to me.
They had some dope. They had some dope stuff.
I mean, the list goes on. I think Wu-Tang to me had a flawless run in the beginning. Like that first wave, that first sweep, to me was a flawless run. After Wu-Tang Forever, then I think they dropped on Supreme Clientele was the next best album out of, after Wu-Tang Forever.
Yeah.
Everything else to me was kind of like, it was a hit or miss. And I'm a big Wu-Tang fan. I had the chain and everything. So it was one of those things where when Wu-Tang came out, I had everything. And you talk about the affiliations of Dungeon Family, Killer Army. I loved Killer Army. I thought that their first couple of albums, the first 2 to 3 albums to me was really dope. You had Sons of Man. You had Shaheem the Rugged Child. You had the offsprings of Wu-Tang to me that was still doing their thing. And I think that me personally, I'll put Killer Army over any offspring of Dungeon Family any day of the week. And that's just, again, that's just me. You know what I mean? So I think that Wu-Tang Forever is definitely a classic album. You got to think about this, Dre. Just having Triumph on the second CD by itself holds the weight to carry that album as a legit
Right.
classic.
I love Wu-Tang Forever. I'm just not gonna say that it's 100% classic.
It's a classic.
But and that's the other thing. See, that's what I hate when we talk these talks and y'all niggas do this shit. Like, I'm not saying, because I'm a huge Wu-Tang fan.
Yeah.
Like, I think and now of course it's gonna go through my fucking head. I'm gonna forget it. But that last album, that's one of the fucking dopest Wu-Tang albums there is.
Better Tomorrow?
Huh?
A Better Tomorrow?
No, I don't think it was A Better Tomorrow.
That was the last
one where Mathematics came back and
oh yeah.
They had people say Redman was on the line.
Yeah, that was a good album.
Like, that album was super dope. Like, I'm a huge Wu-Tang fan.
Yeah.
But I was just saying, to me, that Dungeon Family is the greatest, the same way to you that Wu is the greatest. And there's nothing wrong with that.
So that's what I'm not trying to.
But all it is it's that East Coast bias again.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
No, I think
you see how I was able to speak on Wu-Tang and you just didn't say nothing about Dungeon Family? No, East Coast bias.
I spoke on Dungeon Family.
East Coast bias.
Okay, I spoke on.
But I get it. You grew up in Queens.
Don't make this.
I get it. You grew up. No, but that's what you did, man. You grew up in Queens. Look, it's Don's birthday. You want to shine, but you know. Hey, how the lyric go? Your rain on top was short like leprechaun.
Yo, check it though, for real. Like, I had like the Wu-Tang chain. I had the gold things. Matter of fact, remember the battle I had beat you in? We had did the Mob Deep and Outkast battle. I beat you in that battle. I had the gold things then, just to show you I still had them. So I polished them up and put them in. But I had like I had the gold things, the Wu-Tang chain. I mean, everybody, Wu-Tang was so global. It's not even close. Like,
no. I didn't ask for what was outside the rim. Shit, fucking Dipset was damn near global for fucking. Well, G Unit was definitely global. You know what I'm saying? Like, D12 was global. Like, I don't give a fuck about what's global.
Stack, you're right. Triumph is probably is the best rap song by any group. I really do. I do think that Triumph is the best rap song by any group. I mean, you talking about everybody spit on that song, and you can't. I think Dre, I think that was you and I talking about it. Like, there's no way in that song you can clip it because
you even though there's some you can live without some verses, but you don't really want to. Right. But you really can't. You can't play the song. My thing was, you can't play that song and not play Ghost and Ray at the end. Like, it's
Yo, especially when Ray came on, he said, "Yo, that's amazing." Like, he just started the whole conversation. Like, to me, Ghostface. To me, like I told you before, Ghostface is my top 5. I told you that before. Ghostface, to me, I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves, straight up, because Ghost was always on point. I think he was the most consistent out of the entire group. You know what I mean? And I thought that if you listen to some of the Ghostface stuff, man, dude was like, he said, I'm high power, put Adina Howard to sleep. Your pardon, that bitch was on my mind all week. In the middle of the song, like Ghost swagger was just ridiculous, man. I do think though, Randy said the hell with Ghost. What
are you talking about?
I thought he said the hell with Ghost. I'm like, hold up, what do you call him, Sporty? Like, calm down, Sporty. I thought he was saying the hell with Ghost.
Listen,
Ghost.
Sporty should be on here. Sporty really knows hip hop. So we're gonna invite Sporty next week to jump on here.
The Merv boy at Jay.
You know what now?
Does he know more than Merv homeboy at Jay that was on a couple weeks ago?
A whole lot more. He knows more than Merv and Stacks put together, probably. So
that's not saying much though.
I know, but I'm just trying to give you some type of clue. Like,
okay.
He knows hip hop. Like,
okay. All right. I'm just saying, but to me, Ghost is top 5, and that alone. And you honestly, you would think that because Method Man had like more of the appeal when it first came out. Of course, he's first out the canon because he had the character, he had the draw. But to me, Ghostface had the longevity because Ghost. If you listen to Ghost lyrics, man, Ghost was probably one of the most underrated storytellers. I know people talk about, Big, you know, Nas, Face,
Face.
all these guys who were like great storytellers. You got to put Ghost in that category, man. You got to put Ghost up there. I really wish that RZA would get back into the lab and produce, and RZA produce, Mathematics produce Wu-Tang album, because I think that's needed. I know they're working on something. And also you watch the saga continues on Hulu, and you start seeing how things come together for them. It's kind of loosely based, but still a good show. But you start seeing how these guys coming from a different area. I think You God might be the wackest one out of the whole group. And I like You God, but he's the hard. I mean, I think he's the wackest one out of the group. Would you agree or you disagree?
Either him or I'm
don't say it. Don't say what I think you're about to say.
What, Master?
Don't do Master Killer like that, man.
I'm not a huge Master Killer fan, man.
Yo,
I think.
Caution. Come on, man.
So it's crazy how the Wu, like, if you listen to that interlude, like, hey, let's just put it like this: he the head. We come together like Voltron, and he the head. And I understand what they're saying just because of his the way he flow and the things that he says. And it kind of pisses you off that he did not hit the way I feel like he probably should have hit.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say it's, if you going at an echelon, is Ghost and Ray like 1A. But then I was surprised a whole lot of people, you know, too. I'm going with Capadonna. I think Capadonna always shines.
Yeah. Cap was a beast, man. I mean, don't forget about Deck. I mean,
Deck is super nice.
Deck had the verse of
the way he set off Triumph, that was just
Deck that's the verse of the decade, like straight up. I mean,
I can see that.
But then you think about like this, man. Don't forget the fact that GZA, I told you I thought that GZA is a true genius, you know, no pun intended, because he was able to pen Old Dirty's first album. You know what I mean? And for him to be able to pen Old Dirty's first album and still be GZA, how do you do that? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you listen to Old Dirty album, that album is so wild. And I thought that, to me, that's one of my favorite albums as well. Return to Thirsty Chamber is one of my favorite albums. But you go back and you listen to it, Old Dirty probably added his own, I mean, of course, he added his own flair, his own style, but GZA really was the one who penned that album. You know what I mean? He gave those songs to Dirty to rock and gave him the cadence and everything. So I've always felt that GZA never really got his respect as well, because all the other members, man, were just doing their thing. You know, Meth came out the gate strong. I mean, Meth came out like just everything, charisma, style, flow, everything, you name it, Meth was that one. And everyone else kind of allowed him to rock. But Dre, I'm gonna hit you with this though. I don't think Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links is a classic. But Raekwon also dropped Mobilarity as his second album.
What the fuck? He came back with Purple Tape 2.
Purple Tape 2 was dope. Purple Tape 2 was dope, but he still dropped Mobilarity.
I think everybody goes through some hardships.
Ghost, that's the point I'm making. Ghost.
What's that shit? What is it? Fish Scale?
Fish Scale was dope though.
That one was, but part 2 was
dope. But part 2 was more of a compilation. He had his son on that killing.
Yeah, but still.
Sun God is a beast. But think about it, man. Like Method Man dropped to Cal 2. To Cal 2.
Yeah, 2.0. That was
Judgment Day. T2.
That was trash to me.
It wasn't that good,
trash. Man. And I guess that's the product of when you putting out so much stuff, like shit is gonna get lost.
Right.
I haven't liked any of RZA albums. I love the Capadonna album. The Capadonna album is my favorite. I didn't say it's the best, so everybody chill out. But Capadonna, The Pillage is my favorite solo joint from the Wu Camp.
That's interesting. That's a dope album though. That's a dope album. Yo, Randy, you right. Black Jesus, You God did kill that. He did. When that joint came on and that beat dropped, You God, he did kill that. He did kill that. I give you that one. Yeah. You got, don't get me wrong. You got, he gets off on stuff, but you got also dropped Golden Arms album too.
But him and You God and Master Killer, like those are the two verses. Like I said, you can live without them. You know what I'm saying?
Don't do that, man. Master
You
Killer,
you can live without them.
I don't know, man.
It's hard to because of where they're placed, but you can live without them.
I thought Master Killer had the best verse on what's the name? It's on the album, on the Cuba Link album. That song they got Criminology. Was it Criminology? When he said, proceed with caution as you enter the symphony, degrees of burst with increased intensity. What
I know what you're talking about. That's not Criminology.
That wasn't Criminology. That was on Glaciers of Ice.
Yeah,
I thought he had the best verse on Glaciers of Ice.
Okay.
He killed that joint, man. He killed that joint. But Master Killer, so Master Killer
has never had the best verse on it.
I saw Wu-Tang in concert at the Exhibition Center in Sumter back in '98, my senior year in high school. It was called Master Killer's Homecoming. Because he got family from Sumter. And they did the everybody came, like Meth, the whole crew came, man. So I've always had love and respect for Master Killer, man, because he came and did a Wu-Tang concert, brought the whole crew. Killer Army was there. He brought the whole crew to Little Sumter, South Carolina, man. So I've always, Master Killer was dope, man.
I saw them last year and it was super dope. They had ODB's son. Yep. I forgot what his name is, but he came out.
Yeah, Young ODB. Yep.
Yeah, he came out and did all ODB's version. He actually kicked the show off, and it was super dope. He had the same energy, looks just like his daddy, same hair, all that. So it was super dope. Those guys are awesome. Aside from the Dungeon Family, the best concert that I've ever been to, partly because it's my favorite, was Redman and Meth. If you've never seen a Redman Meth the Man, you haven't seen the show.
Crazy.
Those guys really put on the show, and I that's something that's different. Is hardcore rappers putting on a real show.
Yeah. I
went to see the Locks, and it was one of the worst shows that I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And I just realized that I just don't want to see you up there just smoking weed, passing blunts between each other, with a DJ dropping your music. Just like it just didn't hit as much as I thought it would hit with it being the Locks.
Right. Wu-Tang, I saw Wu-Tang again last year in Greenville. Remember, I text you and told you that they were actually at the concert like less than 10 minutes from my house in the park in Greenville, in Simpsonville, really, in Simpsonville. And man, it was raining the whole night and we were outside, but they killed it, man. It was worth being in the rain the entire time, man. So in my opinion, Wu-Tang is the best group. No disrespect to Dungeon Family. I do think Dungeon Family holds some weight because, again, like I said, man, you got Cassie in there. You got I really wish that Goody Mob would have kept things together. I get CeeLo kind of branching out doing his own thing, but I do think they should have stayed together. You know what I mean? Because just them as a collective was stronger than when they broke up. You can tell something was missing when CeeLo left and they tried to still do things. I think it was One Monkey Don't Stop the Show album.
Yeah, One Monkey Don't Stop the Show. Yeah.
So I don't think that really didn't hit because you can tell that CeeLo energy was gone. And that happens. I mean, the things that Wu-Tang been through, you would think that they shouldn't be together right now. All the fights they had, both professionally and personally. So, Wu-Tang to me is Wu-Tang forever.
So, man, so we're going to go ahead and close out. First, before we close out, I do want to say thank you to everybody that's tuned in. I thank everyone for all the engagement. I also want to give everyone the opportunity. Hey, listen, jump if you know hip hop like you think you know hip hop. Jump on here and get at Shawn, get at myself. We'll talk shit, maybe have some drinks, we'll have some laughs, and it's all in good fun. Now, don't get on here if you thin skin. If you can't take a jab or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10, don't get on here. It's not gonna be for you. So, but we do kindly invite everyone to jump on and have some fun with us. We like talking shit. Hip hop is really something that we truly love. We actually have been called hip hop nerds. I didn't know that was a thing that existed, but that's what we've been called. So I think everybody that's tuning in on Facebook Live. I think everyone tuning in on YouTube Live. I think everyone that's tuning in right now on Blackjack TV, that's on the Zingo TV app, channel 199 Live. That's all I got to say, Shawn. You go ahead and close us out. You got anything, brother?
Yeah, so again, thank you all for the engagement out there. Thank you all for listening and watching us tonight. We do have a couple of more shows coming up this week. Tomorrow night you have the guys, Merv, Stacks, and Mark. They're gonna be doing a power recap. So anybody out there is a power fan, if you know any power fans, please tag them. Make sure they join those guys tomorrow night. They're going to be getting in deep into the episode 2 of Power. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be coming right back at you with the Guys podcast. We're going to do a retro re-review of Guerrilla Warfare, that Cash Money album. Something Dre is dreading to get into. We're going to talk about some new music that released over the past couple of weeks. So we're going to get into a lot of stuff on Wednesday as well. So if you love this show, I promise you, you will definitely love our hip hop segment on Wednesday night. We encourage anyone who want to hop on, send us a message, inbox us, let us know, and we'll get you on the show. You can kick it with us, like Dre said. You can spar with us a little bit. If you can survive, if you got thin skin, don't hit us up. But if you want to come in and get the heat, let's get it on. So again, thank you all out there for listening, and see y'all next time. Dre, I'm out, man. Peace, my brother.